So I'm not proposing anything radical here. I just believe that anybody making over $250,000 a year should go back to the income tax rates we were paying under Bill Clinton. Back when our economy created nearly 23 million new jobs, the biggest budget surplus in history, and plenty of millionaires to boot.
You saw it there live today on CNBC earlier, the president making his case that families earning more than $250,000 per year should pay more in taxes. This on the same day as it happens, the Labor Department admitted unemployment benefits were overpaid to the tune of $14 billion last year.
Okay, so should the government be asking for more money from anyone when it already wastes just so much of the money that it already collects? Well, Cato senior fellow Dan Mitchell says no. Simon Rosenberg of the New Democrat Network, however, says recouping wasted funds, while needed, is just a drop in the larger bucket of the country's revenue needs, and taxes still must be raised. So both of you, thank you so much for joining us today. Simon, make your case first of all.
Well, I think that, look, there are three big drivers to the deficit: Medicare, healthcare spending, the defense budget, and the reduction in tax rates that happened under George Bush. That's what's created the big deficit. If anyone is serious about deficit reduction, we're going to have to tackle all three. The Democrats have shown willingness to do so. The Republicans haven't, which is why I think the Democrats are much more serious now about deficit reduction than the Republican Party is.
But the point here is about the waste and the fraud going on. In other words, why go out and try and collect more money when there's already so much that could be done in terms of like just tightening up that fraud and waste?
I don't think there's that much that can be done. I mean, we're talking tens of billions of dollars. This program clearly should get fixed. It's unacceptable to have that much waste, fraud, and abuse in any program. But we're talking about chump change in a multi-trillion-dollar budget. If you want to reduce the deficit, this kind of stuff, there just isn't enough money there to make a big difference.
Dan Mitchell, you're at the other side.
When Obama said that he wants to go back to the tax rates we had under Bill Clinton, I'll make him a deal. I'll agree to that if he's willing to go back to the spending levels we had under Bill Clinton, because if we did that, we'd have a budget surplus today. The reason we're in trouble is because government has doubled in size during the Bush-Obama years. Both were big spenders, and I guarantee you one thing, that example of waste and fraud you just cited is just the tip of the iceberg, but our chances of getting any fiscal reform in D.C. will vanish like water on a boiling hot day the moment you put higher revenues on the table. It's like putting blood in the water with hungry sharks around.
Simon, wouldn't it be more prudent to try and broaden the tax base as opposed to just levying more taxes?
No. I mean, I think that what we saw, I just want to be clear that what I don't agree with is this basic argument that lower taxes creates more economic activity and more growth. I mean, I know that it's said on CNBC all the time that that's the case. Our own experience in the United States over the last 20 years disproves that. Bill Clinton raised taxes, and wealthy people saw the biggest economic boom in American history. George Bush cut taxes, and we saw economic ruin for the country. So I think we have to be careful not to weight tax reductions and tax rates too heavily in their impact on the overall economy. It's clearly important, it clearly matters, but it's not the only factor in what creates growth and long-term prosperity for the country.
Yeah. I actually agree with that. Fiscal policy is only maybe 20% of what drives a nation's economy. Yeah. And what I like about Bill Clinton is that government spending fell as a share of GDP. We got deregulation, we got GATT and NAFTA, more free trade. Bill Clinton was a lot more free market than either Bush or Obama, which is why I wasn't joking when I said I would go back to Clinton's tax rates if we got rid of all the Obama-Bush spending and regulation. We'd be better off as a country. But if we're just talking about taxes in isolation, of course taxes matter. It's why Singapore and Hong Kong grow faster than the U.S., and it's why the U.S. grows faster than France. I don't understand why Obama wants to make us more like Europe.
Simon Rosenberg, I'm curious, how would you fix the fiscal cliff, or would you? Would you do anything about that right now?
Well, I agree with what the president said today, and I just want to be clear that I think that there are three things that have to get done if we're going to reduce the deficit. There are a lot of things that could get done, but there are three things that have to get done because they're so big and such big drivers of the deficit. The Pentagon spending, Medicare has to get reformed, and we have to raise revenue. So I think that if you're serious about, and the Democrats, to be clear, right, the Democrats have proposed cutting spending in the Pentagon. Barack Obama cut Medicare. The Republicans ran tens of millions of dollars worth of ads attacking the Democrats for all the Medicare cuts in 2010.
This is a lot like the debate. Going on in Europe right now. You go with austerity measures to try and rein in the deficits that a lot of those countries face right now, or do you go for growth strategies to try and revive their chances of paying their deficit? And right now, the fiscal cliff would be that austerity measure. And the question is, does it come at exactly the wrong time when the economy is on its back right now, Simon?
I think it would not be the best thing if you want growth in the next 18 months. And so I hope that the political system allows us to pursue a different path in the fiscal cliff.
So why not extend the Bush tax cuts as they exist right now?
Because I think the president said today that he doesn't think it's the appropriate step to take in the economy at this moment, and I agree with him.
All right. Gentlemen, we're not going to solve it here, unfortunately, and Congress may not either, but we'll hope. Thank you both for joining us today.
Sure. Thank you so much.